to seem like I'm doing two things at once. But we are streaming now, and I will go ahead and ask everyone to introduce themselves. I'm going to look at the order I have on the sheet, and I will call your names, starting with Susan Hayes.
Oh, good heavens. Well, hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Hayes. I write science fiction, paranormal, and I'm trying to write rom-coms, and my timing is a bit off. On to the next person.
Next up is A.M. Griffin.
Hi, I'm A.M. Griffin. I write sci-fi, romance. I write paranormal, and I'm here from Michigan. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Heather Long.
Oh, that's me. Okay, sorry. I had to think about that for a second. I'm Heather Long. I write everything from paranormal to contemporary I have science fiction, and I have some urban fantasy, all romance, and then also started in reverse harem in the last few months, which has actually been a blast for me. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Heather. And next up, we have Vaughn.
Hi, I'm Vaughn. I write sci-fi, paranormal, contemporary. Pretty much write it all except for a historical. And since this is a sci-fi panel, I also write as Taylor Vaughn with my writing partner Theodora Taylor, and we write an Alien series under that pen name.
Is Trinity here? No Trinity. And then we also have Celine. Is that what you go by? Or you said you have a couple names, right?
Uh-oh, your mic is off, I think.
Yeah, I think Celine might be having some connection issues. So if you can hear us, just shout whenever you can, and we'll let you introduce yourself.
I see her. She looks like she's trying. What she needs to do is she needs to go on the computer and select unmute. She's muted on the computer. Okay. I see the button.
All right. And for anybody watching live, we have the chat open, so feel free to drop in questions or comments, and I will pass them on to the authors for you. D Hart says hello.
Hi, D.
Hey, D.
I guess we will start this off by one of you defining for the audience what sci-fi romance is. How about Susan Hayes?
Oh boy. Sci-fi romance is where you get to be geeky and romantic at the same time, and it's aliens and cyborgs and dystopias and the future and Star Trek and all things wonderful and nerdy and sexy at the same time.
Does anybody have anything to add to that?
Yes. I mean, sci-fi can be a lot of technology too. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be out of space. It could be like Demolition Man, for instance. Like that's more dystopian, but just like if you think about all the technological advances in that world, so that could also be considered sci-fi. Hopefully not, because I don't want Taco Bell to be the only restaurant.
Although the whole 3 shelves thing is totally making more sense now. So, just saying, the whole idea behind science fiction, I got really lucky in one of my lit classes many years ago. They actually gave us a literature of science fiction. So we read stuff that was like written by Theodore Sturgeon back in the 30s that dealt with nanobots. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to me that anything that is basically based on, technology, but leaps forward a decade or more, and you're in science fiction. So it doesn't have to be in space. It doesn't have to be aliens. It just has to be possibly in the future. Mm-hmm. So that's the fun part about it.
Yeah.
Hi, Cindy. We can see you now.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I had to come back in again. I love science fiction, but technology does not like me, I've discovered. So,
do you want to tell us about your sci-fi books?
Yes, I write under a couple of different fiction pen names. I write on a lot of different nonfiction names, but As Cynthia and I wrote the Loving Who series, which is based on a time traveler and some Doctor Who fans, but they're just really fans. There's nothing the BBC needs to be worried about, according to my publisher. But at Celine Chatillon, I've written vampire science fiction. I recently wrote just a hard sci-fi novella in space. I grew up watching Star Trek and a lot of different sci-fi, so it's just something I kind of worked my way into because I started out writing contemporary romance. I still do, so I do a little bit of everything. But vampires, I've written shapeshifters, time travelers, quite a lot of those in the Time Surfer series. I wrote at Celine Chatillon. So
just to let you know,
multiple personalities.
Okay. Just to let everyone know, we have hellos coming to you from the chat room. We have Darnell, we have Aonli, Kimmy, Jay Loader, and Reader Girl Taryn. So thanks everybody for tuning in.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Waited
on.
Hey.
Hi, Louie. Hi.
Now, oh my goodness.
Just don't pass this.
I miss you, Louie.
Oh, now my daughter's trying to get in the picture. I'm like, oh.
Okay,
I
so
actually write sci-fi with my husband, and he was in here a minute ago. So that's Cindy Matthews.
So what I want to do now is let's go ahead and does everybody write aliens? If you do not write aliens, say no. Great. Now, while I go and post this link around social media, I want to start with let's start with AM Griffin and tell me who your sexiest alien character is, what book they appear in, and why they're the sexiest.
Oh, wow. So I think all my aliens are sexy, like all my heroes are. But I have to say the last one that I released, which is, good Lord, I'm getting right. The Alien King's Desire, is from the Hunt series. I think he is really sexy. The cover, Dar Albert did such a great job on that cover. I find him sexy just because he is just the epitome of an alpha male. He is part it's like a lion hybrid. So he is, I think, just all types of I get flustered just thinking about him. But he's the sexiest one. And again, that's from the Alien King's Desire. And it was just out in December. He just has I cannot explain him. I don't know why I'm getting all giggly trying to explain him like he's a real person. But that's my guy. So that's him.
Awesome. Heather Long, who's your sexiest character? What book are they in, and why are they the sexiest?
Let's see. My aliens don't actually look as alien as other people's. I think the sexiest one we've done so far, or was it a co-write that I did with Rebecca Roy? His name is Dalton, and it's in the Heart of the Nebula trilogy. And he's got, I don't know, he's snarky and he's sneaky and he can move through shadows. And so you don't always know when he's there. And it's a lot of fun with him because, he'll pretty much do anything. And he's very, laid back about it. If you need someone to die, okie dokie, no problem. I'll take care of that for you. It's like, you need me to go to the store and pick up some milk and take out that other guy on the corner? Got it.
Celine, who's your sexiest character?
I don't know. I try to think vampires. I make my vampires humans as Celine. When I wrote Cynthia, I wrote a time traveler named John Smith because he just doesn't have a human name. He's definitely an alien because when my heroine Cece can actually see him, she panics because he's kind of a tentacle monster. But when she's got the mind thing on, he looks human to her and she can make him look like anybody she wants to. So normally she likes him to look like David Tennant, because I tend to have a thing about David Tennant when I wrote the first book. But he can look like Peter Capaldi or Matt Smith or about any other Doctor Who character you want, because he can change his appearance according to the perceivers, wants and desires. He has a thing for tasting things and like whipped cream put on different parts of the body, which I kind of find a lot of fun and sexy. So I would have to say John Smith is my sexiest alien for the Loving Who series. That yeah, because he can be about what you want to be, and he really doesn't understand human, nature and sexuality, and so he's learning a lot. And Cece finds him to be a lot of fun because she can teach him.
Awesome. Vaughn?
It's hard to pick my sexiest just because it's like picking from my children. Like, but I would just because it's the first book in the Alien Overlord series, I'd say Kel Derrick. He is they he comes from a warrior race of aliens, and like he is the king, and he is very forceful, and the interaction with the humans and his race is like not supposed to be comical, but it kind of is just because they don't understand like the intricacies of human like sarcasm and like almost kind of like these aliens are on the spectrum because they take everything so literal, but they like the scent of a woman, they like the taste of a woman, and they like how hot and wet it gets, especially like human women. So they call it the sweet hot, and they love to taste it a lot.
Very hot.
So
Susan Hayes, you're up next.
My sexiest, I'm with Eve. It's really hard to pick, but lately that would have to be Karos from my star-crossed alien mail order brides, because he was a silver fox, and he was a silver fox alien dragon shifter. So I got to have like all my candy in one bowl. And he's a little bit emotionally distant, slightly emotionally broken, scarred, and alpha as hell. So yeah, he's my sexiest at the moment.
Nice. Now, let's see if we have any more comments in the chat. Darnell says, "Aren't all your aliens real sexy?" Do any of you have not sexy aliens?
Yeah, the bad guys.
The bad guys, yeah, the villains.
even the bad ones are sexy. I like bad guys, so yes, they're all sexy.
Yeah, some villains are really sexy, and that's what makes them the bad guys because they're so tempting.
And Eve, your dog is getting some love, so we need to know his name.
It's Louis. Louis, as in King Louis, as in Louis the Porter, first of his name.
Susan Hayes, Amanda wants to know when we get more dragons.
The dragon books are going to be spun off in 2021. That is the plan.
Yay!
Yep.
I love dragons.
For those of us that might not know your dragons, can you tell us about your dragons?
So the dragon started off as the second. So I was writing the Alien Mail Order Bride series, and I suddenly had another character here who was hitching a ride with his friends from a different planet, and he's the dragon alien shifter. And his name was Radek, and he was a prince on the run. And suddenly I had dragon shifters in my Pyrosian series. So I've had several more of those books now, and they are in the middle of recovering from a civil war on their planet about fear of the outside and whether or not they should be following their gods and a whole bunch of other things. So I'm going to be spinning off that series into a soon-to-be titled series about the dragons and their recovery of their homeworld.
Does anybody else have shifters in space?
There's shifters on Earth and a short trilogy of shifters. Wolfgang. He's an environmentalist, works in Alaska, has a wolf thing going. I write those as Celine. Yeah, those were fun. I wrote those as a summer story kind of thing and started them. And Wolf and Penny, I call them. I'd like to do them again for some other adventures.
Yeah, I have a lot of shifters on Earth. I don't think I have any shifters in space yet.
Yeah. No fun on Earth.
Ayanli asks, have you ever turned a bad guy in one of your books into a good guy or misunderstood main person later in the series?
That's like most of my books. All of my guys are bad. They're jerks. So yeah, I write what you call the alpha hole, and they don't necessarily start out as good people, but that's like one of my favorite things to do is like take a broken hero and maybe give the why. Why are they like that? And I like to break them down to build them back up to be the hero that the heroine deserves towards the end of the book.
I've got a couple. Actually, in my last book, I had in the Nova Force series, Operation Fury. Her clone killed somebody very dear to my readers, and I still get hate mail about that. I'm really sorry about Dale, guys, but this is her redemption arc. This is where she makes up for what happened to the cyborgs who did it, but she's cloned them, so she takes responsibility. So it's complicated, and she's a professional assassin. So bringing her around to actually being one of the good guys was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I took an antagonist, but it wasn't it was in one of my shifter books. But she was an antagonist for many books, and then redeemed her, but actually didn't really try to redeem her. I just wrote her story, and I had a really difficult time with it at first because I didn't like her. And so I had to learn to like her, and it took me about halfway through the book before I was like, okay, now I get it. And then by the end of it, I did like her, and most of my readers were the same way, but they all had the same issue I had in the beginning. Everybody blamed her for everything she had done. So we had to see her go through hell before we were all like, yeah, all right, she's kind of paid enough now. We can like her again.
All right, I have a list of sci-fi topics, and I want to know who has written them. So I'm going to list something, and put your hand up in your screen. So
There's a little tiny screen.
No alien gladiators. Maybe say me too at the same time so you can pop up.
Okay, I didn't hear the alien gladiator. I think it glitched when you said alien gladiators.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Has anyone written alien gladiators?
Sorta. In one of the series, the guy was a fighter, and he was forced to fight in his book and in my Alien Overlord series. So technically, yes.
How about an alien invasion or aliens coming to Earth?
Oh yes,
I do. In my first sci-fi series, Loving Dangerously, aliens come to Earth and they invade and enslave all humans.
I love it. Please enslave us. I'm ready. Come and get us, Alien Overlord.
I don't know. Am I
I
loving
surrender. I
They always
surrender.
get invaded. Because you're time traveler, somebody always is trying to invade your planet and change your timeline. So yeah, a lot of alien invasions.
How about alien mail order brides? At least one of you. Susan, you have a whole series, right?
I have 9 books in the Star-Crossed Alien Mail Order Bride series. Yep, where they come to Earth with a fake dating agency app that they've set up, and then they abduct the girls who apply. Which is about as well as you can imagine.
How about First Contact? So, humans interacting with aliens for the first time.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
On a different note, not necessarily space related, but how about genetic engineering?
Actually, yeah, I have that in one of mine.
Yeah. Yeah, my vampire, the Kindred Vampire series, I have that set on Earth, but how people become vampires, I like to see it more as a science fiction more than a paranormal kind of thing. It's an alien virus that somehow it's infected them, kind of like COVID-19. So my vampires become vampires not so much because of anything paranormal or magical, but because they've been infected and they don't know what to do about it. So now they just got to drink blood, and they kind of become night owls. That makes them sexy, I think, to be night owls.
Heather, do you have any genetic engineering?
Well, in the Space Cowboy Survival Guide, the captain of the ship, he hails from Earth, and he actually was his family has gone kind of bankrupt because one of the projects that he was doing is he was creating these genetically engineered animals, horses, that could adapt to pretty much any environment, and he lost pretty much everything. They were going to take the ranch unless he agreed to do this job. So he's now a census taker, traveling to all these different colony worlds to get find out their resources and how much they have, and that's not shady at all. But he took his horses with him. They just don't know they exist, of course. And so he has these genetically, and they live in stasis while they're aboard ship, because you don't want horses out running around, but they can adapt to any environment they go to.
How about A.M. Griffin? Do you have a genetic engineering?
No, I don't. Mine are just straight up aliens.
Vaughn, do you?
I do not. I do not.
All right. Let's go back to the chat for a minute. Alani says, love his declaim. Kimmy is very happy that she's going to get more dragons. Valentina loves Broken Heroes. Eve Vaughn, are you going to revisit the Blood Brothers? Amanda wants to know.
I am finished with that series, so no, I'm not going to revisit that series. But I mean, I'm not finished with that world. I had like 2 spin-off series with that. I had the Kyriakis family, which were shifters, and then I had the Romanoff family, which are the warlocks and the witches, which is still ongoing. I haven't written a book, second book in that series yet, but I'm working on that. So the Romanoff brothers from the Blood Brothers series will appear in that series. They were in the first book, so they'll be in the remainder of the series as well. So yes and no, they're not going to get another story, but they will appear in the Warlock series.
Now I want to know, what is your favorite thing about writing in sci-fi romance? Let's start with Heather.
No pressure. Actually, I think my favorite thing really does date back. This is because I loved Star Wars when I was a kid, and Star Wars has action, adventure, and romance in it. So my favorite thing about writing it is to try and recapture that whole "I love you, I know" moment. Where have the rogue and the princess, or something along those lines. But I also like the fact that you can explore possibilities. I mean, anything's possible. Superhero movies and superhero romance is science fiction romance. So it's the theory of what is possible. Whether it's probable or not is irrelevant. It's whether it's possible or not.
Susan Hayes, what's your favorite thing about writing sci-fi romance?
Mostly for me, it's just getting to engage my inner youth. I love Star Wars. I dressed up as Princess Leia as a kid. I love Star Trek. I could do this before I could really focus my eyes. So getting to combine my love of romance with my love of sci-fi, and like Heather said, all the possibilities out there, and being able to tell stories of what could be, about the best and the worst of humanity in the world, that's what I love about sci-fi writing.
Yvonne?
I'm sorry, my daughter distracted me. What was the question?
What's your favorite thing about writing sci-fi romance?
I like oh gosh. Don't panic. Sorry. Hold on. My favorite thing is like exploring new technologies, and like one of my favorite things when I was growing up, well, one of my favorite cartoons was the Jetsons. And like the technology now is like has far surpassed what's even in the Jetsons, other than the flying cars. So I like thinking about the technology aspect of it, and thinking about what kind of technology can we create to make our lives easier now, because it's basically that's what technology is for, is like to make our lives easier. So like I like that aspect of it. I liked the possibility of other alien life forms. I don't think that we're alone in the universe. I feel like the universe is so big that we're the only life form out there. And I just like the idea of us meeting other aliens. Hopefully they're friendly and they won't eat us and use us for like food. Um, I like to think that there are aliens like that look like us, or there are some aliens out there that look sort of like us, or close to us. And I mean, like the idea of us coming together and learning from each other, and more of a kumbaya future instead of like a fourth, like one of those that Will Smith movie Independence Day where they try to kill us. Yeah.
Hey, Griffin, what is your favorite part about writing sci-fi romance?
I think what everyone else said, just the possibility of it all. Just I know we aren't alone. There's so many possibilities of aliens out there. They could be nice, they could be mean, they could be mischievous, they can be helpers. Just the possibilities of everything. And usually my books stem from the first meet. I That's what really intrigues me, just the first meet. I know I read, and I do like other books where aliens and humans have been entrenched, in the same world for, generations or for a long time. Um, those are fine, but like for me personally, the appeal is the first meet. Like what will happen when we first meet each other. So and I just love, the fantasy of it all. So that's why I write it.
Awesome. I think we might have lost Cindy. Cindy, are you still there? Celine?
I don't know. She's gone.
Yeah, she might pop back in.
She got abducted.
Great plot, Bunny.
Uh-oh.
We have a question from Amanda. She wants to know, have you ever gotten stuck halfway through a book and struggled to finish it? And we can start with AM Griffin this time.
That's all the time. For me, I really, really love starting books. Like if that were like the career, I could start anyone's book for them and just hand it off and say, "Here, finish it." I'm the book starter. Then I'll get bored and like, "Oh, does anyone really want to know about these characters?" And so, and so it's that middle point where I'm just like really bored. And then what I didn't used to do. I used to write linear, but now I find myself I write to the point of where I'm asking, if anybody really cares about these people, and then I hop to like the end and I start writing the end. And then I'm so happy with how it turned out, the happily ever after, that I'm like, oh, I can finish it. I can write the middle part. So that's what I've been doing lately. So yes. Yes, the answer to your question.
Heather?
Actually, I'm literally the complete opposite. I have the hardest time locking in the first three chapters. I will sometimes rewrite the first three chapters over and over again until I like where they're at, and I'm very much a linear writer. So once I got chapter 3 locked in, it's usually smooth sailing from there. And then it's like, please let it end any day now. Y'all can be done. Shut up already.
So Heather, I can come in and write your first 3 chapters for you, lickety split. And hand it
I
off
was
to you.
listening to you say that. I'm like, that might work. Yeah, no, the first 3 chapters are literally the worst for me. Once I get those down, I'm good.
Susan, how about you?
I definitely get stuck in the middle, but it's because at the middle of every story, I decide I hate it, and the story sucks, and the characters are awful, and I need to just throw this all out the window and start again. So that's now, I'm aware, I think I've written 50 books now, and it's pretty much the process for each one of them. So now I know that's part of my process, and I need to ignore the urge to destroy the entire book. But yeah, so I get stuck in the middle.
Eve, how about you?
All the time. All the time. Just like Heather, I struggle with the first 3 chapters. I can spend 3 months on the first 3 chapters, and then after I get past that 3 months, I can finish the book in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I get stuck all the time.
Cindy, the question from Amanda was, have you ever gotten stuck halfway through a book and struggled to finish it?
Yes. Didn't used to, but more and more Yeah, I have a book that I've started. I'm like 3/4 through it. It's still sitting there. One of these days I might finish it. I'm just not really sure how it needs to go, but you can get past the first half of the book. The second half is usually a breeze. Sometimes you have to write a lot of front chapters, and sometimes I take those out, that beginning stuff. It's just too much backstory. And sometimes it'll come back later in a book, or I just save it for something else. We can use it in a sequel. But yeah.
Vicky wants to know, for readers who haven't read your books or series yet, for all of the authors here, what would you recommend for a new reader fan to read that really features your writing style, character development, and overall good story? We can start with Celine.
Okay. If you like vampires, you can start with The Vampire Next Door. That was my first novel in that series. So chronologically, I went backwards and started over again to how they got to be the vampires they are. But that was an easy one to pick up, The Vampire Next Door. It's at Ecstasy Books.
Awesome.
It's
And
got a
Griffin?
relationship.
For me, let's see, I've been writing since 2012. So my earlier sci-fi books, I have 6 books in that series. It's the Loving Dangerously series. Or if you want something more recent, I have the Hunt series, and you can start with The Game Warden's Mate. That's the first in the series.
Heather?
I'm literally sitting here going, I have no idea where to tell. I love and hate this question at the same time, because I'm usually sitting here going, I am the worst person to ask this of. Ask one of my readers, they'll usually say, oh, well, what do you like? I would say for probably the series that's the longest is My Wolves of Willow Bend, and it has so many different elements to it, but that's more paranormal than it is science fiction. You might also check out my Fevered Hearts books, which there are 8 of those, and it's think Young Guns meets the X-Men. It's superpowers in the Old West. So and they're kind of epic, and they're a lot of fun. And then there's I would start with those 2 and work your way out from there, because I have a lot of different series because I kind of write all over the place.
Awesome. Susan?
If you like a little bit more lighthearted science fiction that is MF, then definitely my star-crossed Alien Murder Brides, starting with Joran, which is actually free right now. And that's book 1. And if you like Menage and dystopian futures and cyberpunk and aliens and cyborgs, then that would be the Drift series, which book 1 is Double Down. Double Down is also free right now.
Awesome. Vaughn?
If you want to do since we're doing sci-fi, I would recommend under my Taylor Vaughn name, the Alien Overlords. His Acclaim would be the first in the series. It's good old alien abduction series. For my other stuff, like if you want like a signature Eve Vaughn book, like my signature Alpha Hole, I would recommend say Whatever He Wants. That's a good one to start with, because that will basically give you my writing style to a T. And that's a contemporary though.
Dar Good wants to know, what do you use as a basis for your alien languages? AM?
So for the one of the books in the Hunt, let's see, which one is that? Hunted by the Alien Prince. They are a race they're hybrid lions, where they're evolved lions. And so for that language, really, I don't know, I don't even know how to pronounce this. It's the Kosi language in Africa. And I use that. So anytime that the humans have like this translator, this universal translator. So anytime that the translator can't pick up the language that the aliens are talking, that's because they're speaking in their own language and the translator just can't get it. And so it's this African language, the Kosi. And so I use that because it's a lot of clicks and everything. And so the translator has a hard time picking up. But that's really the only language in all my alien books that I use. Otherwise, I just opt out and just use Universal Translator and just.
How about Celine?
I kind of get around that too. I use a lot of telepathic characters. The vampires have a bit of telepathy, and other things. My time traveler is also telepathic at times, and so when you're in a situation where it's very, very alien and you wouldn't be able to understand the person normally, you've got this kind of you're reading mind to mind, so you don't really have to know the language. You get the information across from it. So as a cop out, maybe. No big Tolkien family started talking Elvish, I guess.
Yvonne?
Literally, I make words up. Literally. Does that sound right? I will. Sure, that sounds like a language. So there you go. Just throw words together, random vowels and syllables.
Nice. Susan?
That's an alien language.
I'm a bit of a geek, as we may have established already. So I have Jaskiran, Torski, Vardarian, Pyrosian, and there's another one, Valdarian in there. And each one of them is based loosely on Google Translate and the general gist of a language on Earth that isn't English. And then I have subsets and glossaries for each language. And my narrator of my sci-fi books really, really hates me because I have to enter a translation thing for every single one and how this actually would sound when you say it out loud.
Nice. Heather?
I have none whatsoever. I don't. I have enough trouble when I have to write characters who are French or Russian or Spanish here, and if they start speaking multiple languages on Earth, I can't do the alien ones at the moment. So I cheat. I go with a universal translator, or just say they're speaking in a language and just use write in English. So.
Can you to know what is your inspiration for what your aliens look like? Well, we can start with Susan then.
Wait a minute. I missed that. Was that for me? Hello.
Was that for me or? Uh-oh, where'd she go?
Did we lose Jess? Jess, did we lose you?
Uh-oh.
Is everybody still here?
We didn't hear who the question was for.
Okay, start with Susan. What's the inspiration for what your aliens look like?
Really? What are you doing?
That depends on the alien. In some cases, they look pretty human. But figure out how Louis is being very aggressive.
He's trying to.
My Vardarians took a lot of freaking out again, so they have scales. And I spent a lot of time studying pterodactyl wings and what dragon wings theoretically would look like to make them dragon-esque. But mostly I look at people really hot eyes.
Thanks.
Nice. Next we'll go to AM Griffin.
Can you please repeat the question?
The question is, what is your inspiration for what your aliens look like?
Oh, okay. So, you know what? Usually I just think of like what would be hunky, what would be nice. In my earlier sci-fi books, they generally look human, like just big. But now in this series, I've just like kind of like stretched my imagination. So, like they, one of them in the Game Warden's mate, he's kind of like a Bigfoot, but a hunky, cute Bigfoot. And then I have, like I said, the lion hybrids. This fourth one that I'm doing, actually, he's a like a vampire, like an alien vampire. And so I just reach in the back of my head and just be like, what do girls want to get banged by?
That would be me. When I think aliens, I don't think bipedals and 2 eyes and 2 ears and then 1 mouth and 1 nose. I think, there may be tentacles. It may be more like blobs. They may just be something just too radically not humanoid. Therefore, that's why I get to a lot of telepathy and that they can send out a vision of they look human to the humans. Otherwise, they would just be really freaked out and you really would say, oh, I don't want to have sex with that. I get around that one by saying, the mind is your sex organ, right? So, what the body looks like, That's kind of secondary. So, but the thing is, if we do ever meet aliens, they're not going to look like Spock or, people from Star Wars. They're going to probably be very different.
Heather, how about yours?
Oh, pretty much, I'm right there on whatever I think is hunky at the time. It's funny because I've actually read some with aliens who are very alien. I mean, in their descriptions, and yet the characters are exceptionally hot, both in personality and how they're perceived by whoever the leading lady is. So that actually, whenever I was going, I don't really see how a scaly person could be a sexy attractive, and yet at the same time, because the characters think they're sexy attractive, then the hunky factor comes across, so I'm okay with that. I have not actually written one of those yet, so that's kind of like my next challenge for myself, because I can read it and enjoy it. I want to see if I can write it and enjoy it.
Come to the dark side.
and Yvonne, how about yours?
When I think of an alien, I kind of design them like a ribbed condom for her pleasure, because it has to you have to make sure that you're going to be sexually compatible, because you can't write them with a spiky dick. That's that's going to be painful and bloody, and not the good kind of painful and bloody. So, yeah, usually I kind of design them more humanoid. I'll give them different alien features, maybe this different jewel tone skin, or maybe scaly skin, but they're usually humanoid, and they are usually very gifted. Down there.
Reader Girl Taryn wants to know, have any of you done science-based research to develop any of your books or series? We'll start with Celine.
Actually, yes. I'm reading a physics book right now called Your Place in the Universe. So when I read a lot of science fiction with time travel in it, I like string theory and the different, what we think possibly could travel in time. And for vampires, I did a little bit of research, and that was a few years ago, on viruses, which is really kind of coming back to haunt me this week, about how that could be transmitted, and someone could become a vampire unwittingly because of a quote bite from a lover, and then they pass it on to their lovers. But yeah, you actually do a little bit of research in some of these things just because it gets your mind open. I love
Or yes and no. I do a lot of maybe some. I've done research on space, and for some of my books contain space travel, and I have to figure out the distances between the realistic distance and how long it would take maybe to get to another galaxy and whatnot. Would we have to use warp technology to get there, or how many days or months or weeks it would take? The types of uniforms people would need to be able to survive in space, what the environments would be like what planets could we feasibly survive on. I mean, there aren't many. I mean, we could possibly survive on Mars, maybe, but it's so cold on Mars. And then the planet over next to ours, I think is it Uranus? Where is the other on the other side of us?
Venus. Yeah, I just read a novella about Venus. Yeah, we can live on that, technically.
Yeah, one's too hot, one's too cold. So
we're just
the hot one.
Yeah, Venus.
I think Mars is the hot one.
Well, wait a minute. You're right. Mars is hot.
No, Mars is cold. Venus is cold. Very warm. Venus is very hot.
All right, wait. We're the third rock from the sun, just because I know that only because of the freaking show. We're the third planet from the show. We're from the sun.
All right, let's go to Heather next. Heather,
my physics book if you'd like. My science books. I love her.
Nice. Heather, do you do any research for your books? Science-based research?
I do a lot of different research, and sometimes I fall down the research hole and get lost and find things that are utterly useless to what I'm doing, and then they turn out to be completely useful later when I'm doing something else as I'm writing, and I go, oh, I read about this, and then I have to go find the article. A lot of times it's usually environmental, especially if I'm dealing with other planets, and I'm looking for what work brains. The ecology might be like, especially if you have different light sources or different types of radiation. What it would do to the color of the plants, what would it, and how it would affect stuff like that. And then, of course, long-term exposure. If you have, human DNA technically is adaptable. It does take time, but how fast could you adapt it? And then, using RNA vectors and stuff like that. And the fact that I started doing all of that, and how it can mutate and change people. And yeah, again, I know just enough to be dangerous.
How about you, AM?
I do, but I don't get, I'm not like these guys. I don't get lost in the rabbit hole. If I'm researching something, it's literally, I'm in in the middle of writing and I need to know what like for like an animal, an alien animal, I'll just like look up alien animals and then look at what the artists have drawn and then kind of just use that as a guide to what I'm about to write about. So not really. Just really looking at pictures.
And Susan, you've already called yourself a geek, so I think we might know the answer, but do you do any research?
A little bit, yeah. It actually, the deepest rabbit hole I went down was trying to figure out how aliens with wings would have menage sex in 0G.
How do you research that?
There's actually a website on what sex in 0G would theoretically be like.
Yeah.
And it takes physics and astronomy and
People having sex in 0G. That's exciting because opposite forces and
So Yanli wants to know, what is one section of the genre that you have wanted to write in but have felt you couldn't? Or if there isn't one you felt you couldn't, maybe just one you haven't done yet. Start with AM.
One I haven't done yet. Well, okay, so one that I haven't done yet. Oh my gosh. So cyborgs interest me. Hi, Michelle Howard. If you're looking, we keep saying we're going to write about cyborgs in space. So I think that would be one. I can't think of anything else right now as far as sci-fi.
How about Eve?
I would like to do like alien takeover, like where the aliens are not actually looking for mates, but they just want to enslave our planet. I've wanted to do that. I actually had one like that, but there was romance that came out of it, and like there'd be romance that came out of this, but maybe like star-crossed lovers, like maybe she was like a enslaved worker and he was, but the only reason why I wouldn't touch something like that now is just because it just is because of our history in America. It just kind of, it just be like kind of touchy to some people. So that's something that I wouldn't mind seeing. I mean, like they've enslaved the planet. I don't think I'd want to do that, but I'd be interested in reading something and see how the author did it.
Susan?
Well, actually, I keep getting asked when I'm going to do aliens that actually are way more alien, because most of mine are just human shifters or human types. So I haven't done krakens and tentacles and like other things yet. So one day maybe.
Celine?
I've read some fantasy elements and like had a dragon or two in a story, but I've never really gone full blown into the Tolkien-esque type world building where it was, more magical and that kind of, aliens and, elves and dwarves and hobbits and all that. I don't know. I just tend to be more hard sci-fi or soft sci-fi or paranormal and not quite into the high fantasy. So maybe one of these days, I won't say never, but, I've touched it a little bit. There's a couple of anthologies I wrote for, but.
And Heather?
Well, I said earlier, I want to definitely write aliens who look more alien and aren't just humanoid based. I mean, they'd probably be bipedal or at least human compatible, obviously, beyond that, but I want more alien influence to it. And that would be fun. I also want to do like an actual, kind of like, what was that show? It's more like space combat, but They were like Space Marines fighting a war, and I can't remember what it was called. What was it? Not Starship Trooper. It was the television-based one. That
Battlestar
wasn't,
Galactica?
No, that was, but it's close. Something like it was based around Earth. I'll as soon as we're done with this, I will completely remember what it was. But it was about people being recruited. They became Space Marines, and they went and fought a war against aliens, trying to keep them from coming to Earth. I'd like to do something like that.
Starship Trooper? That's not
The
Starship
Last
Trooper?
Starfighter. The Last Starfighter.
Well, yeah, both of those did it, but this was I think it was Space Above and Beyond.
Oh, Space Above and Beyond. Yeah, that was on a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I liked the whole concept of that, the military in space, and the fact that they were like everybody fighting for the planet, and but I'd want to do it from both sides. I don't want to just do it from the human-centric point.
Awesome. Darnell wants to know, have any of you thought of alien women coming in and taking over the men? Celine?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I read a short story, erotica, Heavenly Bodies. Alien women who, yeah, they can. 1% at a time. But definitely, yeah, and they definitely were not humanoid, but they just, yeah, use their way to project into people's minds that they were very beautiful. So they look like pinup girls in space, I'd call that.
Nice.
Taking over the men one at a time.
I got a message from my intern, who's also known as my husband. He says Space Above and Beyond is what you're thinking of.
Yes, I was right. I got it. Thank you.
So back to Heather then. Have you written any alien women coming in and taking over the men, or read any?
I don't think I've other than nope, that wasn't. I'm trying to think if I've read any, but I don't think I have. I've thought about it, but I haven't done anything like that one yet.
Susan?
No, I haven't done anything where the women invade, mostly because readers like to be part of the heroine's journey, and it's really hard if you write them into complete and total something they can't relate to. So I think I probably have avoided that to some degree or another.
AM?
I agree with Susan. It would be a great idea. And even in the Hunt series, I have women hunters there, and everyone's like, oh, I want to know about the women hunters. But like Susan said, readers want to read and they want to see themselves in the story. And I think it's really hard for them to see themselves as an alien.
Eve?
Same. I wouldn't mind doing something like a women taking over, but it probably wouldn't be the same angle. Would be like, maybe like two sex slaves get together or something, and the women are in charge, the alien women are in charge. But I can't really see myself doing something like that.
Yeah. I will say that I'll give a shameless plug for our fearless leader, Eve Longley. She does have reverse abduction. So that's her Purple Alien series. And she, in reverse abduction, he was already in outer space, so it's not quite, she didn't go to Earth and kidnap him, but still she ends up with one of these, measly little human men, and then learning he can stand up to, and he's as much the warrior as she might expect from her own kind. And I like that one.
I would totally go Total Recall and give him like 3 breasts. Crazy like that.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're rounding out our hour. Does anybody have any giveaways or anything they'd like to say?
Same as my last. For anybody who's new joining my reader group, and you say you've watched this this live stream, I will be giving away the first book in my His Acclaim series ebook copy.
Yeah. If you can find me on Facebook, I'm on Facebook as Cynthiana /Celine Chatillon on my webpage. And if you see me here, I can give you a free ebook. I've got one that just came out recently, Aphrodite 1, that you might enjoy.
Awesome.
And I just want to thank everybody who tuned in to watch this craziness. And I'm not going to do a giveaway per se, but I realized that Double Down and Joran, Starcrossed Alien Mail Order Brides, are both free right now on all stores. So you can find them on my website, susanhayes.ca, and go look from there.
Nice.
Okay. So then before we go, I just wanted to do one more round through. Let everyone know what you're working on now or working on next or what's coming soon for you, starting with Susan.
Chance of a Lifetime, which was a drift novella that was out in anthology, is being revamped right now and will be re-releasing in a couple of weeks with more content. And I am currently working on Tiger and Unicorn, which is going to be in Eve Longlay's RTC Academy world.
Awesome. Vaughn?
I'm working on a couple things. I'm working on the last book in the Alien Overlord series, and it's going to be a menage. So stay tuned for that one. I'm also working on my next solo project is hopefully I'm coming out in a month. I'm trying, and this is a contemporary one of my signature alcohols. So it's called Covet, and a lot of dirty sex. So.
Awesome. AM?
I am working on the 4th book in the Hunt series. This is the book with Miranda, and she's the only person in the series who has children, who's on this alien planet being hunted with her. Readers have been asking me to write her story, so that's what I'm working on now. And of course, I'm stuck right at the middle part, and so I'm skipping to the end.
Heather?
I have a book coming out on Tuesday called Pause, and it's I had written under a pen name for a little while. I tried, and I couldn't keep up with the pen name, and I had some other issues. But I'm moving the books back over under my name, and so I'm re-releasing the first 2 in the trilogy so I can write the 3rd one. But it's set in a bad timing, even though this was kind of planned from before. It's set in a not too far distant future, like 2040, 2045, and it's after a pandemic. The pandemic is in the past in the book, but the heroine wakes up in a biosphere and has no memory of why she signed up to do this. So it's a lot of fun with that. And then I'm working on the 4th book in my Untouchable series, and I have a whole list of things that I've been actually writing quite a bit. So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Celine?
Right now I'm going back to being Cynthiana, so I'm writing a little bit more PG romance. I kind of go back and forth. The last one I had out was an R-rated one. And I'm working on one. We have to have it's for an anthology. They have a note or a message in a bottle. So it's about a message in a bottle. So it's kind of interesting. It's going to be an interesting kind of a long romance, how these two get together that don't really know each other because there's a space between them with this message in the bottle that one sends out and the other receives and wants to respond to. So one of those kind of romances.
Awesome.
Long look, but that's a long.
Great. Well, I just want to thank all the authors for showing up today. This was kind of a last minute thing. The world's kind of crazy right now. So I appreciate everybody just, excuse me, being so, sorry. I've talked too much. It's not sickness, I swear.
But nowadays they're all paranoid about something.
But thank you for showing up and for being so enthusiastic. The readers seem to really like it. They're all thanking you in the chat. For the readers, just to let you know, if you subscribe to this YouTube channel, you'll get a notification when the next video goes live. Otherwise, it takes me just a minute or 2 to get the link into the social media groups. But I hope everybody's enjoyed themselves today, and we'll see more of you at 3 o'clock with the Geeks and Nerds panel. So thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you for coming.
Well, everybody, good to see you.